program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Team Shit Show 2.0. And tonight I have Wes from WhateverCast is going to join me. And we're going to talk about all the shit that's going on in our world today.
This was the perfect title for this program. It's the world is giving you everything you need.
I know. There's always going to be shit, I think, no matter how good we think we got it. But how are you been before we get started?
Been good. Just had a birthday. Been working a lot. Had a pretty good birthday. Had steak and keto cheesecake. It was good.
Well, good. That sounds awesome. Yeah, my birthday was last week, and my little sister's is the day after mine because my mom went into labor on my birthday, and I thought I was gonna have a little baby, but it was the next day. So I'm glad that's over with. But I won't talk about how old I am or anything. But I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
But I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us on X and on Rumble and on YouTube for now, because I got in trouble from last show, last Team Shit Show, because I had KT Truther on, and YouTube didn't like what we talked about and said I was a cyberbully, so they took down my video. So if you want to see that video, you have to go to either KT Truther's channel, because it's on there, and or my Rumble, which is Janet's Universe, which I'll share in the chat in a minute, and on X. I have it on X. You have to go down my timeline a little bit and find it, or under my media, I think it's under there. But hopefully you enjoy it. It's pretty good. It was about us fighting for kids or whatever. So apparently YouTube doesn't want me fighting for children. But oh well, that's the way it is. But hi, Papa Cotton. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Danny. Thank
Papa.
you. And Lowe's back. Thank you. Hi, Jackie. Thank you for showing up again. She always helps me out a little bit when she can. But well, the first thing I was going to talk about, which I thought was important, was what happened this last weekend, which was a shock for all of us. Even if you didn't like the man, I think you should be shocked, because it's sad that we live in a country where someone wants to take you out simply because you want to run for office. I just think that's terrible. So first I want to show this. Hold on, I got to open it. I thought it was that one, but maybe it's not. I'm sorry, it's not very good at these things.
It's all right.
Oh, darn it. I'm trying to remember which one it is. I'm clicking on all of them, so give me a second. I thought they would be in order from the way I had it set up, but it's not. Yeah, here it is. Here's the first one. I want to show everybody this right here. This is Corey. He was the one that died at the Trump rally, that was shot and died. And his wife has put this out. But the one wonderful thing I found out is Trump is going to go to his service. So there's going to be like people protecting him out the wazoo. But I think that shows Trump's character, the fact that he's going to go to Corey's service and be there for his daughter and his wife. I just think that's wonderful. And at the bottom on my little ticker, I put in honor of Corey. So God bless him. God bless his family, because he loved Trump, or he wouldn't have been there to see him. And he lost his life because of it, because of a nut job that happened to be there to hurt Trump. So I just wanted everybody to see that. But that's sad. But yeah, it's just it's heartbreaking to think that we have people in the world that would rather see you dead than to be able to run for office. I cried when Bill Clinton won, and I've cried when Obama won, not because of who they were specifically as a person, but because where I thought our country was going to head. Because of their decisions and the people that would be in office and the changes they would make. And man, was I right to cry, to have sympathy for my country. But I get emotional about it, but it doesn't make me want to go out and hurt people because of it. So it's just sad. It's really sad. But okay, I just wanted to do that. And let me do opening the next one. Let me see if this is it or not.
Yeah, just a general comment. Presidential elections, I don't remember there being that much anxiety over who the president would be until the election of George W. Bush. After that, I noticed that people were a lot more anxious who was going to win that office. And what that tells you is that the office has too much power, and you need to move the power back to the states and take that power away.
Yeah.
That's why you have the anxiety over who the president is going to be. It's because the office has too much power.
Yeah, it's not just that though. It's the people that surround the president too that that push their weight around. And when they make these companies, like what happened with what was the name of that one? The new company that started, it was like Twitter.
Truth Social?
No, the other one.
Wait, no, the
Patriot. Was it Patriot or something?
No, I'm trying to think. I know what you're talking about. It was
that,
there and then it went away. It was the one that was like Twitter.
Yeah, it was like Twitter, and I signed up for it, and it was doing really good. And you had to put your name on a list to even get on there, and I was doing really great. I loved it. It was easy to use. And then the next thing you know, Google and YouTube and all of them said, we don't like you, and they took their server away from them. Basically.
Yeah, it was Amazon Web Services took it away.
Yeah, it was terrible. So to me, that just showed that if you are a big company and you're willing and dealing with the president, and the other people in Congress or whatever, and you don't like something, you just say, Parler, and you say, well, we don't like them. We want you to take care of them. See, and basically they started making changes and telling you can't say this or that. Facebook got so Nazi-like, and so did Twitter. They got to where if you spoke out against anyone that like I'll give you this one thing before I bring this thing up. When I was on Facebook, right after Trump said he was going to run, right? And then I was like, thinking, I like Ben Carson or whatever. But then all the Antifa stuff started happening. People were, maybe it wasn't Antifa, maybe it was one of the other things, Black Lives Matter or something. But all I remember is on my timeline, a picture, it looked like, I think it was Antifa, and he had a cop down on his knees and he was cutting his throat. And I reported it. And then Facebook came back, I think it was like 2 days later, and said they found nothing wrong with the picture. It was artistic expression or some stupid shit like that. So I took the picture and had someone help me and made another one, but swapped the heads so that the cop was cutting the Antifa guy's throat and had them side by side. And they said I had to take it down or I was going to lose my Facebook. And I was like, what are you talking about? You just told me that it was artistic, whatever. But they go, we could tell that you're doing this just to upset people, that kind of shit. See, they can twist it around and make it whatever they want if you're a conservative or a Christian or they just hate your guts. But if you wanted to do something else with it, then fine. Like that guy that took poo and pee and put it all over Jesus Christ, that statue. Remember that? And it was Glenn Beck that came out and he did a show and he was selling a jar of pee or whatever. He said it was I don't remember, but it was really stupid. He was just showing how stupid it was. And it's ridiculous how you get treated if you don't agree with them. They treat you like shit and you can't get a leg up. And if they force you to have to buy ads or sell ads, you have to, if this person's going to be on the air and they're liberal and this person's a conservative, they have to have the same amount of time on air and all this bullshit. Like people don't buy ads on liberal shows. That's why conservative shows like Rush Limbaugh were huge because, and look at all these people now redacting Bud Light. And then you got the tractor company and you got all these other stores that are saying they're no longer going to support the rainbows and whatever else because they're losing money because conservatives don't want to spend their money on stuff they don't agree with, and which is the right of every person who earns a paycheck. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's bullshit, but okay. I'm ready to share this and I think it's great. I love this. I thought it was adorable, and I don't know how anyone couldn't have just been so proud of Donald Trump and his son when his granddaughter got up and spoke. So that's what I was going to show. I want to make sure it's big, everybody can see it, and let everybody hear it.
Before I begin my remarks, I'm going to do something a little uncharacteristic. A Trump is going to give up the microphone. Doesn't happen often. You may never see it again. But I got a call on Monday morning from a young lady who said, "Dad, I want to speak at the RNC." I want to speak at the RNC because I want America to know what my grandpa is actually like. So for the first time ever on a stage, first time ever giving a speech, I want to bring out my eldest daughter and the eldest granddaughter of the President of the United States, your favorite president, Kai Madison Trump.
Yay! I wanted to ask, the pretty blonde, was that his ex-wife with his other two kids or something?
Is that Kimberly Guilfoyle? I don't
No,
know.
that's not her. He's not.
Attention.
That's his second wife. Because remember, Kimberly was married to Gavin Newsom before, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so his first wife, the one he got divorced from, I don't remember what she looks like, but they put the camera on her and she's looking around like it's her daughter. So I was just wondering if that's his ex-wife. So I don't know. If anybody knows in the chat, will you please put that in there? But here she goes. She's so adorable. I'm so proud of her.
Hi, Trump's mom is Vanessa Trump.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kai Madison Trump. I am the granddaughter of Donald Trump. I'm speaking today to share the side of my grandpa that people don't often see. To me, he's just a normal grandpa. He gives us candy and soda when our parents aren't looking. He always wants to know how we're doing in school. When I made the high honor roll, he printed it out to show his friends how proud he was of me.
Yeah, I think that's her mother.
He calls me during the middle of the school day to ask how my golf game is going and tells me all about his. But then I have to remind him that I'm in school and I'll have to call him back later. When we play golf together, if I'm not on his team, he'll try to get inside of my head. I know. And he's always surprised that I don't let him get to me. But I have to remind him I'm a Trump too.
But look at the pride on Donald Trump's face. It makes me so proud of him to see his beautiful granddaughter saying such wonderful things about him. I can't help it. I get so emotional every time I think about what his family has gone through for him just to be president of our country. It's just heartbreaking to me, but it's happy heartbreak. I mean, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just think it's wonderful, and I'm so happy for him.
You can see that he seems very calm and at peace after the assassination attempt. You know that he's very. You can see the look of gratitude. What do you call that? A state of grace or the Holy Spirit or whatever it is. That's.
It's he's glowing right now when he's watching his granddaughter speak about him. No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. That was weird. I was frozen, and then all of a sudden we went. And
it caught back up. Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, he just look at him. He's glowing as he's watching his granddaughter talk about him, and that's one thing I love this because this shows people he's just a man, just like everyone else, every other man. He puts his pants on the same way. He hugs his family, kisses his family, gets up and he goes to work. He just has a different job, you know. He's rich. He has a beautiful house. But the day after he was shot, he went and played golf. And she even talks about getting to go play golf with her grandpa. So I'll let her finish.
even when he's going through all these court cases, he always asks me how I'm doing. He always encourages me to push myself to be the most successful person I can be. Obviously, he sets the bar pretty high, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll catch him. On Saturday, I was shocked when I heard that he has been shot, and I just wanted to know if he was okay. It was heartbreaking that someone would do that to another person. A lot of people have put my grandpa through hell, and he's still standing. Grandpa, you are such an inspiration, and I love you. The media makes my grandpa seem like a different person, but I know him for who he is. He's very caring and loving. He truly wants the best for this country, and he will fight every single day to make America great again. Thank you very much.
Oh, I just adore her. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
But so do you think that helped him with people, especially people who might have been thinking, well, he's such a pig, he's a Nazi, he's, all the things that people have been saying. The Russian people are trying to push fake narratives, blah, blah, blah. And some people still believe in the PP dossier, which was proven to be paid for by Hillary Clinton. And it's just sad. But do you think that him having his granddaughter come out, I know he didn't have her do it. She wanted to do it. But do you think that will help people maybe look at him differently?
Well, I think the fact that he stuck it out and he's had the perseverance, that he didn't just duck at the first sign of trouble, is what helped him out. I think that the debate, because for us, we've known that Biden has been in that condition for a long time.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people, and I know this sounds incredible, but that was their first time seeing him like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helped a great deal, and that had people take a look at Trump, a little closer look at Trump. Like, for example, in real life, the family members and the friends that know that I'm voted for Trump and intend on voting for Trump would come up to me and be like, okay, so why do you like Trump? Tell me. And they actually had an open mind about it, and they were like, okay, well, you seem pretty smart. What is it that you like about Trump? And I would tell them. And then the assassination attempt, I think the fact that we were saying these things for years and years and years. They're going to try and take him out. They're going to try and take him out. He's, that's the reason that we're in the situation we're in. This is who's running the country right now, the deep staters, and it came so close to killing him, and people were so disgusted by that. And we've gotten to the point where we've earned so much credibility. I think I saw a clip where Rachel Maddow was saying that that there's been a 31-point shift in black females now from the Democrats to Trump, which they have to be getting like at least 2/3 of the black vote to even win. And then they usually count on the females usually balance that out. That's not what's happening now. And so now it's to the point where the Democrats are probably going to still carry that vote by a slim majority, but they need to carry it by a lot. And so I think all of that plus the cases, they've overplayed their hand.
Yeah, I agree.
But having the granddaughter come out, absolutely. I mean, I got a little choked up myself watching that.
I can't help it. I've seen it like 10 times and I still get teary-eyed over it because it's so adorable. Okay, to see someone look at somebody, because I know I don't have my grandparents now, and I lost my mom, and my dad's doing really good, but I don't get to see him all the time. He's living with one of my sisters. His wife passed away a couple weeks ago. His other wife that he married after my mom passed. But to see the grandkids with grandpa or grandma, and doing whatever they do, and the way they look at them, the way that they admire them, it's just, I don't know, I just can't explain it. That look they get on their face is it just shows you that they love them. It's unconditional love, and no matter what happens or who that person is, it's always going to be Papa or Mima or Grandma, whatever the name is the child picks for their grandparent. Because it's different than looking at mom and dad. Mom and dad always say, you got to brush your teeth, you got to take a bath, you got to cut your nails, you got to do, you got to clean your room. Grandma and grandpa don't. They're like, you want a cookie? They take them in the other room and give them whatever they want, or sneak them a toy, or take them shopping, or whatever. So it was just sweet. Just the fact that she wanted to do that, and I think Donald Trump is so proud of her right now. His heart would probably get him bust. But I just thought it was wonderful, and I wanted to share that because it shows, to me, it just shows his human quality, because he's just a man. Just like any other man, he has faults. He's not perfect. And I'm hoping that people will look at him and understand that he's just a man. And but he's a great man, and he has done great things for our country already in his first term. So I'm hoping that more people will open their eyes and look at him differently, step back and just look at him as a man. And maybe that will change a few things, but we'll find out. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about was this one. Let me see where it's at on here. Oh God, I wish I was better with this stuff. Okay, I think it's this. Yeah, here you go. I want to show this because this happened while I was setting up for the show. So here we go. Darn it, golly, I wish I was better. I'm so sorry. I'm working on it. Here it is. Okay. Can you see that? Right here?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is what came up right after I was getting everything set up. So I thought it was important everybody would know about it. Now, it doesn't mean it's fact 100%. It's just that it's because of Newsmax, I believe them. So I'm going to play this, and we'll see what you guys think. Okay.
Carl, according to multiple Democratic sources, this is happening all of a sudden. Everyone said it would happen gradually and then all at once, and that's what's happening. According to my sources, President Biden has agreed to step down as the Democratic nominee.
Oh, man.
It will happen as early as this weekend. A speech has been drafted for him. He will continue on as president, is his intention. He also will not, I'm told, endorse Vice President Harris as his successor. There's an open process in which the convention will be open to Vice President Harris and a few other candidates in Chicago to pick the Democratic nominee for president. The belief is that Vice President Harris is already looking at potential running mates to go to Chicago with a full ticket, including one possibility, Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, and perhaps the governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro. Other possible candidates who are being talked about include Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, perhaps Gretchen Whitmer, and again, the vice president running. On the first ballot, the regular delegates would be allowed to vote under this agreement that's being talked about amongst the president and high-level Democratic officials. The regular delegates would vote on the first ballot. If there is no winner on the first ballot, the so-called super delegates would be allowed to vote on the subsequent ballot. This decision was reached, I'm told, all of a sudden because of the high-level pressure from Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and others, and as well as the decision of many of President Biden's top aides that there was no path forward for him, that he would not be able to win this election, win the general election. And therefore, he's stepping aside again as early as this weekend.
So, Mark, what are the political ramifications for a party that based much of their platform on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they're passing right over Kamala Harris, and he's not going to be endorsing her, according to your sources?
No. According to my sources, he will say very nice things about her. They do not want what some of my sources have been calling a Kamala coronation, that the problem, in part, that they found themselves in was that President Biden was not seriously challenged for the nomination. I'm told by some of her people, I don't know that the vice president, but some of her people believe she will win this, that she'll choose a strong running mate, that she does have the support of many of the delegates who are Biden-Harris delegates, and that she can win this basically on her own. And at least one of her allies said to me, this is better. Better to not be anointed by Joe Biden, better to show independence, better to show with a strong ticket the capacity to win the nomination on her own.
Well, Mark, that
I'm going to stop for a second. One thing that's really funny about this is a couple of weeks ago, because I've been saying that that I didn't think that Biden would be on the ticket, okay, to run again, because there's just no way. He's already weakened at Bernie's, basically. He's been that way, I feel, since his whole presidency. He's just been propped up and drugged up and whatever else to put him wherever, because he's like a huge puppet. But the fact that they are going to do it, and they're trying to make it look like they're letting the people decide, the Democrats decide who they want to replace him, instead of them saying, well, we're going to go ahead and let Harris do it. But the thing is, to me, that kind of hurts them, because if they take him out and he steps completely out and lets Harris become president, she'll be the 47th president. It won't be Trump. Okay. Trump would be the 48th president, because that's the way it would work, especially in the history books and stuff. Now, if he stays in, I don't see how they would want him to stay in, because right now, look how weak we are to the other countries. I mean, they feel like they could just walk over the border right now and kick our ass, because Biden is like he's strapped to a gurney and they're dragging him around, basically. How weak does that make us look?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things here. They chose this process. I mean, you have a lot of Democratic voters that are really dumb, but most of them, okay, so they're going to see right through this thing. They're going to see right through it. The case has been made for the last 3.5 years that we need to save democracy. We need to save democracy. We need to save democracy. And you had very vigorous debates on the Republican side. They had a primary. And then you also have the Trump record, which he was letting the governors do what they wanted during COVID.
Yeah.
And then you have that contrasted with Joe Biden. You already have a lot of Democrats that felt he rigged it from Bernie, which I believe that to be the case. So you already have them upset over that. And then you have, the rigging of the primary this go around, where there was no opposition, and people were like, this is a terrible candidate. I mean, James Carville was saying that last year. And so, this is a mess of their own making. This is not going to help things. It's not going to make things better for their side. All it's going to do is make them look like massive hypocrites. And, they could have had their cake and eat it too. If they would have 25th Biden, he still would have had the title of president, but Kamala Harris then would have become acting president. And at least that way it would have looked like they cared more about the country than they did about an election. This transparently says that we care more about an election than we do the country. And people are going to see that.
More and more people are seeing it, because they're realizing, just like what that reporter just said. So here they say they're going to do, inclusion and all this different stuff, but he's not even going to step down and let Camilla take the reins with all the money, because when they talk, they're going to talk about it in a second, and how much money that he's got in his war chest. And I'm like, holy shit balls, he's got a lot of money in there, and it's got to go to somebody. But I guess they'll take it back and give it to somebody else. I don't know how that works, but it's pathetic.
I think even if Big Mike ends up with the nomination, they're still going to be in trouble.
I do too. Because to me, they've proven they don't give a shit about you. They only care about themselves and where they're going to be next year, that type of thing. And I hopefully this has opened a lot of people's eyes, and they realize they've taken away the nuclear power plants in California. There's none. Okay. They have rolling blackouts. They haven't made any reservoirs to hold the water. They're just letting it all go back into the ocean. All these different things that they've completely ruined California. So many different things. It was such a beautiful state, and they've just slowly just snapping it apart. They're just trashing it. They're gutting it. They're gutting your state, okay? And they want to do the same thing to the United States. They're gutting New York, okay? And every state that they've sent all the people to, like Texas and all the cities in Texas where it's run by liberals, is becoming, it looks like San Francisco. You know, they're looking like dumps. Same thing in New Orleans. You know, all the big cities are becoming Democratic shitholes, basically. And people are leaving the cities, coming to rural areas, and they're like, you know, we got to do something. We got to save our states. And that's why I tell people all the time, sign up to work the polls. Fight for your cities, fight for your schools, and fight for your towns, and fight for your state. Because if we can get our states back under control, where we have police officers, we have decent teachers, we have decent schools, we have good jobs, all these things, then we can take back our country. One state at a time. But we have to come together in our states and fight for them. That's the only thing we have left. And if Trump wins, we have to be there for him. We have to support him and help him get the people he needs to fight with him, you know, in the government to get this stuff taken care of and get it done. I mean, they dragged their feet last time. They didn't want to get rid of Obamacare. You know, they kept making excuses because of all the rhinos. And then you have the same thing with the border. You know, they're building the wall, but look how long it took them. You know, and look at right now, we're just about to have another election. It's been 4 years and we haven't barely even scratched the surface about all the cheating. And when Pence was standing there waiting, listening to all the people saying, well, our state did this and this was that, and blah, blah, blah going on. We need you to send the Electoral College votes back and make us recount. But he didn't. You know, he just said, nope, I'm going to keep them. So he screwed us all over. And then the whole thing with January 6th has been dragging on this whole time when not one person's been sent to court for insurrection. Not one person. It's all been misdemeanors, but they're all sitting in jail, lost their homes, lost their jobs. You know, it's like the Constitution, just a big roll of toilet paper. Everybody's wiping their ass on it, you know, and nobody's backing it. And where's all of our people that are in office? All these people that say they love our country that are supposed to be Republicans. They just stand around like a bunch of jerks, you know, whacking each other off. I don't know what they're doing.
Pretty much. Well, you have you have them, and then you have the neocons. Like I think former RNC chair Michael Steele has been going on, and just, I mean, the guy sounds like Nancy Pelosi. It's crazy. This used to be the RNC chair. It's insane. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. But let me go ahead and finish this. Get finished. Let them finish talking.
That said, though, I mean, you're very familiar with campaign finance laws. He has, 200 and 300 million in his war chest right now. I believe, in my understanding, is Kamala would be the only one who could absorb that and continue on the campaign. How's that going to work when all their big pocket donors have already pushed for that?
Well, there's all sorts of money, right? There's super PAC money. There's low dollars. The belief is that a new ticket will inject excitement into the party, and that both low dollar donors and the big donors, who in the last few days have sent a strong message to President Biden that they will not support his being the Democratic nominee. So there's a strong belief that with a new ticket that they can raise money from the big dollar donors who can give and bundle hard dollars, can give super PAC money, as well as the small dollar donations, that they will come in to whatever the new ticket is, whether it's the vice president or not. If it is the vice president, most campaign finance experts believe she does get to keep the Biden-Harris money.
There you go. So if she stays in, or she gets it, she gets to keep all that money and use it towards her campaign. But she's worse.
That's why. She's worse than him. That's why Joe isn't anointing her. Joe wants to keep the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, or not really Joe, because I don't even think Joe even knows who he is most of the time. It's Jill and the rest of them around him. They don't want to give up their money and their
$200 to $300 million probably buys Hunter a lot of drugs and hookers.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. But it's better than us paying for it. I mean, we've already paid for it basically with all the money they laundered through Ukraine and all that other stuff, and him wanting to give all that, it was a whole bunch more money because we're already trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. Our great grandkids are already in debt and they haven't even been conceived yet.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are we supposed to make that back? How are we supposed to get that money back and pay it back when they're constantly spending more money? That's all they do. That's all they know how to do is spend our money. You and I go to work, pay our taxes, and they take our money and they spend it on bullshit, and we have no say. And we don't even have any say on who the money goes to when we do pay our taxes, because they pick people that we didn't even pick, to work for them, and then give them money, and they take vacations and buy, who knows what else they're doing. It's like we have no say over anything. And that's why I said we've got to start fighting in our states. I mean, I have a governor now that said no to Title IX and told Biden to shove it up his butt, basically, and told China, you're not buying any property in our state, period. It's not going to happen. And she's made a thing where our schools are only going to have whole milk, no more 2% milk, little things like that for our kids. That's a start. But the thing is, if you don't start, it's never going to happen, for your state. So we need to fight and take back our country. That's what I see. Okay, so now I got the next thing, and it is, I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is a ticking down clock. Okay, I'm going to go back to 0. And this is Trump doing the speech. And then this on this side is going to be cell phones, videos showing what's happening and how much time goes by before he starts getting shot at. Okay. So this right here is one of the reasons, in my opinion, for what I'm seeing, that it's an inside job. It's like all these people, just regular people, not Secret Service that are trained to see certain things, or even police officers, but they're telling police officers and yelling, there's someone on the roof with a gun. There's someone on the roof with a gun. Plenty of time for them to get on the radio and say, get Trump out of there. Because if they'd gotten Trump out of there, the guy wouldn't even had to shoot his gun, and he wouldn't have shot the other gentleman, which is Corey, that died, and the other 2 people that were injured critically. So all of this could have been stopped if they would have listened just to these people, or would have started out by paying attention to what they were doing, and not even let the guy in with a gun. Okay, so I want you to watch this. I'm going to make sure it's turned up, and watch it as it clicks down. How much time?
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than if it happened. We have the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we had the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring. I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over, And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that says,
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
We got breaking news. We got breaking news coming in. Shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally. Is he okay? We need to go live right now.
Angle.
We are live right now at the Trump rally. We don't know if President Trump has been shot. We know he hit the ground. We do not know if President Trump has been shot. He's up. He's up. Shots are still continuing to be fired. He's giving a thumbs up, everybody. He's giving a thumbs up.
Okay, I think that's plenty for everybody to see. But did you see how much time went by? They had plenty of time. With one call on the radio, they could have had Trump taken off stage.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because I never know. I didn't realize a stray bullet hit the hydraulic line. I thought maybe they were using a fire hose for crowd control. I didn't realize that was what had happened.
Yeah, I think it ricocheted and hit it and nicked it. You know what I mean? Because, you know, until they get the ballistics and stuff, we're not going to really know. That's even if they tell us the truth, you know, because ballistics would tell us if it was two guns or not. But see, what made me, after I watched this video a couple times, you know, like the day after, like late the day after, I started thinking, look how much time they had to stop it. And I said, and the thing is how convenient it was that you hear how many like that, okay? And then you see him screaming over behind him because it hit three people. One guy got through the neck. The other one got hit. It went through him and ricocheted off the edge and went back into his liver. And the other guy pushed his wife out of the way, jumped on top of his daughter right as he got hit in the head and died. And during the whole thing, if you watched it live, you saw them dragging his body out and he was covered with blood. And everybody was saying, that's the shooter. They killed the shooter. And I was like, no, that's a victim from in the thing. I could tell the shooter was far away. It wasn't anyone there. So it was a bunch of stuff. There was a lot of chaos going on, but you have to put it all together to see it unfolding. But the thing is, it was how convenient it was that you got two snipers, okay, with their supposed professionals that we can see. Now, I don't know if there's any other snipers. Okay. All I know is there's two behind Trump on top of that red barn, right? And they let him shoot that many times and they still didn't shoot him. And it wasn't until you see Trump grab his ear and go down that you hear the other shot. And I think he was still moving around because I don't think they shot him really good at that point. Then they shot again when they realized he was trying to get up and down. Because they go, look, they're still shooting. That was why. But it was like they waited to make sure that Trump got hit before they shot him, took him out. To me, that whole thing we just watched made me feel like it was an inside job, that they set him up to get rid of him. It's almost like played out like a harp, choo, 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 or a violin.
That part of it most definitely looks like an inside job. But here's what I want to know. He just like got this idea to do this. I think somebody got in his head. He was talking to somebody. Even his classmates said he's talking to somebody. So we need to find out who that is. Yeah, and they said he went on a gamer's website, a gamer's profile website, and posted on there, wait till you see what I'm about to do. Steam, yeah, I think it was something like that.
Yeah, Steam. I think it was Steam.
It was very obtuse.
That was very, very, very telling and watching it over and over again and looking at the people in the crowd. Each time I watch it, I'm trying to look at different things I didn't notice, like what you said about the steam you see come off of that hydraulics, things like that. And then you see the people. And the next video we're going to see is going to be just a cell phone video right on Corey and the other ones that were shot, okay, in that one area. So you get to see what was going on there, and the wife over her husband, okay, you know, not knowing what to do. Everybody's like in shock because the president's taken care of. You know, he's surrounded. They got the snipers that run up on stage, you know, and do all that to make sure that and they're scanning the crowd or whatever, even though, you know, the guy's already been shot. But I don't know. To me, the whole thing looked like it was like they hired Boy Scouts basically to be Secret Service. Okay. And then I watched Dan Bongino's show or him being interviewed. Okay. And he was like, you know, because he's Secret Service. He was Secret Service under Obama. So I think he knows what he's talking about. And he thinks this is like red flags all over the place. So I'm praying that whoever's in charge will say, we've got to show the people, you know, the truth. Okay, we got to show them how they messed up, because them immediately saying, oh, it was the cops, their fault. Bullshit. That to me told me something big time. It's messed up. They're blaming the regular local cops, and the local cops even came out and said, hey, we were just supposed to take care of traffic, you know, parking and all that kind of stuff. We're not Secret Service. We don't have, I mean, this is a rural community, as you can tell by looking at where they're at. It's farms and shit. Mm-hmm. They don't have SWAT and special trained people. They might somewhere in the state they'd have to bring in, but that little town of Butler, I think is what it was called. You know, it's just, it's pretty sad and pathetic to have Secret Service blaming the local police department. Oh, it's just, I just hope they get to the bottom of it, because to me it was ridiculous, the whole thing. So is there anything else you'd want to talk about with that before I go on to the next thing?
Just that I think it's pretty clear that they wanted Trump taken out, and that we would be having a very different conversation this week had they succeeded. And that's the thing. Was it lucky or was it an act of God? Joe Biden said, unless the Almighty himself comes down and tells me not to run, I'm not going to. Well, I think he got his. I think this is about as close as the Almighty came to telling him not to run. That's my statement. That's what I think.
Okay, well, here is that picture that you and I were talking about before we started. That some person is there, and they were able to film this, but they were using the kind of film that you would film like hummingbirds, things like that. So you can see their wings flapping and be able to slow it down. And they were able to slow it down so you could see the bullet whizzing towards him.
I think that's whizzing away from him. That one.
Away from him, whatever.
That's after it hit the ear, yeah.
Yeah, that's after it hit him. But the thing is, why is he using that kind of film at a rally? I don't know. I'm just saying that to me, when I started looking at the picture and stuff and realizing the high resolution film that he's using to film this is you wouldn't be able to do that with every single camera that's out there taking video.
It's a high-end camera for sure.
Yeah, definitely. See, is that here? See, it's right here. You think this photographer who got this picture was using a 1/8,000 shutter speed because he knew bullets were incoming, or because he thought Trump was a hummingbird? I just thought that was a very interesting post by this person on X.
It is, and they were kind of telegraphing, oh, something might happen, you could see it on the news, and that they were waiting for the weekend, and I think this is what they were waiting for. It wouldn't surprise me at all if people get tipped off, and that they would want to film an assassination with that level of fidelity.
Yeah, and also if you think about it, look at all the fights that people have had to go through to be able to air the Trump rallies live. Nobody wanted to see it. Nobody wanted to air it. It was like free advertising for Trump. So nobody wanted it on there. They would have reporters there, but they weren't live. They were
not
just
on CNN.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and lots of them. But it's just interesting to me how specific, like this person with this
Well,
type
and that's
of
that.
camera.
Oh.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, well, there's a lot of questions. First of all, why would CNN pick a podunk little town to air the first rally that as far as I know, they've shown in this election cycle? So why did CNN choose that? And and then why did this gentleman choose the equipment that he had to be able to capture that in that level
I
of
don't know,
detail?
but that
And
picture, that iconic photograph of him having his head blown up would have been worth $1 billion, basically, if you think about it. So I don't know. I just think it's just so many red flags for me that I'm having a really hard time believing anybody.
and then you factor into this that this was the last rally before the convention. So I mean, if they would have taken him out, that would have been chaos. It would have been nuts. People are saying that Nikki Haley, because she was the only person with delegates, would have been the nominee, which would have made me puke my guts out.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that it's just so many things have happened in just the last 5 days. I would never have even thought of, a while back. I knew that they were going to try to get rid of him because I said, well, the lawfare is not working. He just got convicted of 34 felonies, right, on that court case, and everybody was like, oh, I'm going to get a mugshot of him, and it made him bigger. Okay, it didn't hurt him as much as they were hoping it would. So they're thinking, man, we got to get rid of this guy. Our guy can't beat this guy. Our guy is a guy that needs to be propped up with a 2x4 shoved up his butt, basically, and can drag him around. And he's shuffling his feet. He's falling up and down stairs. I mean, it's pooping his pants. Yeah, he can't even greet our veterans on D-Day. It was just, he's a pathetic mess, okay? He can't do anything. He can't have a coherent conversation. That one little tiny rally or thing he went to, he was up on stage. It was a small venue, and this woman speaking, and he just wanders off the stage and goes into the crowd and starts playing with a baby. He's not there, and they weren't showing it. They were covering for him. We have everybody covering for him. All the media, hide, don't, And then I saw more and more videos being leaked out of, like, this one lady is interviewing him, and while she's interviewing him, he falls asleep. He's sitting in his chair. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that one, but I saw the one where he started. I saw the ones where he started molesting the black guy's arm. That was kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, that was creepy. I mean, it's just sick. I mean, but I knew all this before he even ran. I said, the guy doesn't even know who he is half the time. And and you could see his hands were all bruised up and his arms from all the IVs and shit, trying to keep him jacked up on Adderall and whatever else. And then I got to watch that interview with Tucker and Alex Jones, and both of them said they had their special people that are inside the White House, and both of them said the same thing, that Biden wanders around the White House naked, totally naked, talking to himself at night. And I'm like, that's drugs, baby. They have to keep him drugged up and that's another thing, is that I said what I felt. I said this a couple months ago. I said I felt like they're slowly taking him off all the drugs. Because if they just take him completely off, he's going to have a stroke. Because when you've been on drugs for so long, you have to wean them off. Okay, this is what they do. And I said, so they're weaning him off, but as they're weaning him, he's getting more and more dementia, acting.
Yeah.
His hands, he stands there with his hands like this because he doesn't know what he's doing, talking to nobody, standing, everyone's looking this way and he's standing and looking the other direction because he doesn't know who he is. When you have dementia, you forget today, you forget that you brushed your teeth, that you went to the bathroom, you took a shower, but you remember your wife or your husband from many, many, many years ago. The older the memory, it's still in there. It's the new stuff that goes away first. And that's what's slowly happening, is he's slowly getting worse and worse because they're taking him off the meds because they were chucking him. Somebody was wanting to chuck this guy and get rid of him. And that was the only way to do it, is to get the public to see this guy is not there, that we can't keep this guy anymore. This guy is totally useless. He's not going to make it 4 more years. And that's what I've been saying since last spring. I've been saying they're gonna chuck him because they let them say that he had all those things in his car and in his garage and all that stuff. Remember when they were talking about Trump? Then they did that thing where they privately interviewed him, and then they said, well, he acts like a feeble old man and stuff like that, so we wouldn't hold him accountable. Well,
Yeah,
and he's our
Robert
fucking
Byrd.
president. I don't know. It's pathetic. And that's when I said they're chucking him under the bus. They're just doing it slower than I thought they would, because this guy is the president of our country. Anybody could invade us. I mean, right now, our southern border is wide open. China could have a whole shit ton of troops down there ready to rush over the border. What the fuck? We got a president who goes, I don't know what we're supposed to do. I don't know. I don't know what they think will happen. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous. And he's supposed to have his finger over the button. I don't know. It scares the shit out of me how vulnerable our country is. And we're the laughing stock. Because I was in a couple spaces with people from other countries that I've been friends with since Spaces started. And they're laughing their ass off. They're laughing. They're saying, Jesus, we thought our country was in bad shape, but you got a president that doesn't even know who he is. People have to change his diaper and wipe his ass. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's bad. It's scary, but that's basically where we are right now. And they're finally doing something. I don't know what they're going to do, but you know what? Their convention isn't even till August, right?
Yep.
So they're cutting it right to the chase, which means, remember, nobody cared whether or not his name was on the ballot in some of these states. Remember that when they were all talking about it, that Biden's name's not even on the ballot, but nobody gave a shit. They acted like, because they were chucking him. They didn't even care because they knew there was going to be an open thing in August whenever they had their deal. That nothing was like it was like they knew, so they didn't care. It was like, to me, it's obvious now. Hindsight's 2020, but basically, that's what it seemed like to me. Just the way they've been doing things. Now, I could be wrong, but if I am, oh well. It's a shit show, right?
It's a total shit show. Yeah, whatever. I mean, they were screwed no matter how they did it, and the best way they should have done it was 25th them. Then you still would have had a Biden-Harris ticket, but he would have no power. And just picture a feeble old Biden wearing his aviator sunglasses, sitting in a wheelchair, with a blanket over his legs, looking like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and a Kamala Harris in her pantsuit, leaning down, listening to what the elder statesman is telling her. That's the route they should have gone. That was the best shot they had. They would still lose, but at least it would look like they cared about the country, which is what it doesn't look like.
Well, yeah, and it looked like it would make them look better because, see, they let Biden go off to the sunset, to be with his grandchildren and to live out the rest of his life with his family. And they get the first woman president, right, under their belt. They had the first black man.
Acting
well, yeah,
but
she'd be president. That she is in the history books as president of the United States if they got rid of Biden. If he stepped down, she'd be sworn in and do the whole thing, and then they'd have to go and vote and who the vice president would be. The same shit. That's the way it's set up, and it would make them look better. It would make them look like we care. And now we got the first woman president, and we got to work it out. This is, it's scary. This has never been blah blah blah. Suck it for all they can, like they normally would do. But I don't know what they're doing. I mean, to me, it's like they got 50 people in charge, and none of them agree. So that's the problem. They're all like in the back room all fighting, and there's nobody to do. There's no underlings to do the job. It's all the bosses all fighting. So nothing's getting done. You know what I mean? That's what I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. But okay, here's the next thing that I thought was pretty interesting. Let me see if this was the one. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. Yeah, it's an interview that I thought would be interesting for us to watch.
Let's bring in Florida Congressman and former U.S. Army sniper.
Why the hell can't I get my beard that even?
What kind of shot was this, Corey, from 130 yards?
Look, at the end of the day, This is a shot that your basic training boot camp soldier is requested to make within their 9-week period. This is one of the easiest shots, and they train all the way out till 300 or 500. And when I was doing the counter sniper, it wasn't with the United States Army. It was actually when I was with the State Department and was doing this exact thing, which is trying to look at going out with an advanced team, establishing what the perimeter is. And then as a sniper, when you would set up, you'd put together your range sketch or your range fan cards. And that would tell you where your 100, your 200, your 300, and you'd identify the areas of threat that you would be able to mitigate. And if there's multiple targets, you understand that your elevation and windage knob wouldn't have to be messed with, especially at 160 yards. You could literally just look, quickly glance, and know from the reference point, whether it be a building, whether it be a lone tree, whether it be a parking lot, maybe it's a road. Bottom line is that this is massive negligence to the point of me speculating on what was intentional and what wasn't.
Wow. When you're doing a site survey and you're seeing this rooftop not that far away, why did it look like the counter sniper team was a little surprised?
You know, I can only speculate, and we'll have to wait until the investigation comes out, that they thought local law enforcement was potentially climbing up onto the roof when they saw a dark object on a light roof. But here's the issue.
Wait, you're saying maybe
they know where their
construed
men are?
crooks for a friendly, for local law enforcement?
It's very possible. I don't want to speculate until the investigation is over, but the bottom line is that if you saw someone climbing onto a roof that you hadn't authorized any clearance on, it's got a clear line of sight. It's exactly adjacent to the shooting where the president was sitting, and you're talking about a pop shot, and you got people yelling, and there should have been comms. The minute that local law enforcement, who apparently had a rifle pointed on, there should have been an emergency frequent comms channel that they could have said, we have a shooter on the roof, shooter on the roof. Secret Service should have rushed the stage and immediately took the president and took him off, and then responded to the counter sniper. The shot should not have gone off. That is the failure in itself. You're supposed to be able to try, the best security is when you go in and you're actually able to prevent an incident, not react to an incident. Even if you would have left a law enforcement officer's patrol car in that parking lot with the lights on, that could have been a deterrent. But when you have nothing that is actually showing force protection, you're encouraging this. Look, I'm not sure about who the individuals are on the individual detail Secret Service, but I can tell you under this Biden administration, the one thing I've seen is massive DEI hires. And I can tell you, when you primarily go after DEI, you end up with DIE.
So when you have the...
Yeah, do you hear that? Now, I definitely believe every single thing he said, and he knows what he's talking about because that's what he does. Okay. So, and I don't believe that he's been paid off by the Trump administration or something to say this shit. To me, I'm looking at his facial expressions, listening to his voice, and you can tell he sounds frustrated. He sounds like he is upset about it, how ridiculous all of this ended up being. Just like everything he said, just like I said, when they heard them yelling, there's a guy on the roof, there's a guy on the roof. If they missed somebody climbing up there with a gun and they didn't immediately call Secret Service and say, get him off stage, to me, that's a setup. They were waiting for this guy to shoot him. And when he fell and went down, then they took him out to get rid of the evidence. Okay. Yeah, basically, that's exactly what it looks like to me. And I'm just a dum-dum. I'm just an American woman that, that raises chickens, and has a YouTube channel, basically. But to me, just watching this over and over again and paying attention to it and listening to gentlemen like this guy that actually knows what he's talking about, and then going back and watching it again and paying more and more attention each time, that's all it looks like to me. It looks like this administration thought, we can't beat him, we got to get rid of him. We couldn't take him out, couldn't put him in prison. The SCOTUS came out and ruled against us when it came to January 6th, and when it came to Trump on certain things that he has the right to have those papers and things like that. I don't know. To me, somebody needs to go to prison for this. Somebody needs to go to prison. A person died and 2 people were injured because of this mess. And our president almost died. So a lot of heads should be rolling. And if somebody's throwing somebody under the bus, I guarantee it. There's some singing going on. There's a bunch of canaries going to town. If they feel that they're going to go to prison for the rest of their life, or maybe be shot, go to the firing squad. I mean, can they do something like that? See, I don't know enough about any of that, about what the rules are, because to me, if this was like they were told like what happened with Benghazi. See, I was waiting for Benghazi for a long time when they basically gave him a stand down to not do anything and let that poor guy be dragged through the streets and all the shit that happened, and nothing happened to anyone. I was like, we are in deep shit. That's what I was thinking about my country. That even though the Stevens was a Democrat and stuff like that, see, I don't care whether they're Democrat or if they're Republican or if they're Libertarian or whatever they are. Nobody should be treated like that. Everyone has the right to say what they want, burn the flag, whatever it is they want to do, as long as they're not hurting children or raping and murdering or selling drugs or, selling guns or doing things that are breaking the law. They have the right to do it. That's why we live in this country. That's what America is supposed to be. Freedom. But when you have a government that's controlled by money or corporations or whatever, and they wheel and deal and throw people like us, you and I, under the bus because they want a few extra dollars in their pocket, then they should be punished for it. And that's what we deserve. That American citizens deserve to see somebody's heads roll for either cheating to get Biden in or to almost getting Trump killed and getting an American citizen killed while he's at a rally with his wife and his daughter. Okay. It's pathetic and disgusting. And the more I see, the more I know other people are seeing it. They have to, because I'm just a American girl, I was an Air Force brat. I don't know a lot, but I'm trying to learn about this. But this tells me that somebody on the inside wanted Trump out, and they were using this young 20-year-old dweeb gamer, whatever, and played him like a harp or a violin, just like I was saying earlier, to get him to do their dirty work, and they're going to kill him. For some reason, he thought it was going to make him famous, and he wasn't thinking about what was going to happen afterward. See, he wasn't, because he's 20.
Who the hell knows who was talking to him? Somebody could have talked to him and said, "Hey, man, we need you to be a patriot. We need you to do this and take out Trump. Don't worry, you'll be okay." But the person telling him that probably knew he was going to get his fucking head blown off. Yeah, and that took care of that, and it all died with him. We don't know what happened, and it sounds like. And then you have was that even the guy? You have that Maxwell Yeardley guy, who looks more like the corpse that we saw than this Matthew guy. And it's I don't know how much of a deep dive you've done on Timothy McVeigh, but Timothy McVeigh, he confessed supposedly to his sister. He said, "Oh yeah, they're setting me up for black ops. I'm basically going to be a paid assassin." Who
knows what they told this kid? Maybe there's people in these chat rooms on these gaming platforms, and they listen to these kids talking, and who knows? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a computer genius or whatever. I don't know anything about cybersecurity and all that stuff. I'm lucky if I remember to update my computer, that kind of stuff. But it's scary. You think about it, because they can, from little stories that I've heard, they can drive to your driveway, park out across the street, and log into your IP address and put child porn on your computer. Then they wait a few minutes, and then they another car pulls up. They go to your front door, knock on your door, and arrest you for having child porn on your computer. They get you in. They say, "Well, we can clean this all up. All you got to do is this." See? Yep. Little things like that. Cyber people can do that stuff. So we don't know who talked to this kid. And the scary and sad part is that they probably already cleaned it all up. Just like when they took Hunter's laptop, right? Had it for years. And they probably took everything off of there that had anything to do with Obama or Hillary or anyone else, and just left the Biden shit on there. See? Because they're going to fuck them anyways. See? I don't know.
Hillary had the team account for BleachBit, and she lent it to these guys. Yeah, that's what happened.
I mean, I don't know. It's just my point of view of what I think from what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've read and what other people have sent me, and going into spaces and talking about different things. This is my conclusion. And this gentleman right here that's speaking, I really do believe what he's thinking. And I do believe that he believes what he's saying, and he understands it, because that's what he used to do.
these counter snipers waiting until 8 rounds are fired. What accounts for that?
To be honest with
After
you,
the first shot, you get a return fire immediately?
the minute that a shot rang out, they should have already been on scope. Your spotter should have already have called the distance if you hadn't looked at your range card, and you should have immediately engaged.
Okay.
There should have been no reason to have waited a single second. Now, I talked to Eric Trump after the incident. Eric and I are both gun enthusiasts. We both shoot long distance. That right there is a pop shot. But he did say, I've gone out with the CS teams, and they are one of the best. He knows the service detail that's with them. They are loyal individuals who actually do care about the president. I can say that was relayed to me. But the bottom line is this is a massive security breach. This is a huge failure at negligence is at best. But we have to figure out why something within 200 yards. Think about this, Jesse, 200 yards. That means that an average rifle that holds 1 minute of angle would hold a 2-inch grouping if you just shot it straight off the deck, meaning on a platform. So now you're talking about 160, which is 1.6 inches is what its grouping capabilities are. The average head is what? 6 by 8, shoulder to shoulder is 20 inches, head to waist is 40 inches, and President Trump's a very large man. This is a shot that within 5 minutes I could teach you to make 9 out of 10 times. So this is divine intervention. This is the God having his protective hand and wearing Ephesians 6, the armor of God over the president, because this right here, a millisecond or a millimeter and change, and this isn't an attempted assassination. This is an assassination of a president.
Yeah. The devil was in Butler, Pennsylvania, but so was God.
Well, and I can say one more thing, if I may, which is that let us also remember that King Henry II went in and said, can no one rid me of this turbulent priest? And his knights went out and killed the Archbishop of Canterbury because they thought that was a direct order. What do you say when President Biden says it's time to put a target on Trump? That, in my opinion, is the insightful rhetoric. That's the stuff that they would have went after for the J6 stuff. So why don't we have our own J13 investigation?
Yeah, there needs to be a full investigation on this, absolutely. And it needs to not be crooked like some of these other former investigations were.
That's right.
Politicians. Mills, you're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's bring in Florida Cops.
Yeah, I like the ending of that. What do you think? You think that will happen?
It depends. We've got so many rhinos, but who knows? I think Trump is going to have some serious coattails in this election. I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked up seats in places that were formerly blue areas. So we'll see what happens. But I think at a minimum, they're picking up both houses of Congress. I think that's not even going to be a thing. I look at these Democrats that, so concerned about their elections in the House and the Senate. Fuck you guys, man.
I've had people tell me they predict that every single state is going to go for Trump.
I don't see the fortification is strong here in California. I don't see that happening here.
You never know. But see, the thing is, I can tell you right now, remember I told you what I've done. I do a lot of surveys. I do a lot of surveys with people with a clipboard, talk to people. And a lot of people admit, I say this, but this is what I really do. Okay. Because I had to have no camera. It was just me talking to people and giving them the papers to fill out and talk to them about, whether it's medical or food that they eat or clothing that they would wear. They would say, I tell people I wear a 3, but I really wear a 6, things like that. So, it's just people don't want to tell the truth about certain things, especially if they feel like they're going to be embarrassed. So if you're a person and someone says, are you going to vote for Trump? And they'll say no to their liberal friends. Okay. But to their other friends are going to say, yeah, I'm going to vote for him, but don't tell anyone because I can't vote for the weekend at Bernie's or whatever you want to call them. But, and that people will do that. So I'm hoping that, it's a huge landslide. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, I mean, I just hope when he gets back in that he really does address these issues with the deep state. I really hope he does. We're going to need special counsels. We're going to need mass firings.
So do you think that his VP pick is someone that's going to help with that? Some of the things that he's voted on. Have you looked at him at all?
I watched Hillbilly Elegy, so I know a little bit about his early life. What I don't know about and what I'd like to know more about is his ties to Peter Thiel and you know, the conversion from MAGA critic to MAGA standard, you know, co-standard bearer. I would have liked to have seen Tulsi. I think Tulsi probably would have been a better pick for that ticket. But
But that's
given
what
the
I'm saying. I don't
alternatives,
know why Trump picked this VP as Vance as his VP. I don't know. And a lot of people have been talking about it for the last, you know, all day today for sure. And I just say I trust Trump. I trust him. So whatever the reason why, I'm going to still vote for him.
I've got some speculation, and my speculation is kind of, you know, you've got your white hats and your black hats, and what we're really arguing about here isn't, you know, Team Liberty and Team Tyranny. We've got some factions that have government contracts, like your Elon Musks and your Peter Thiels, and that, you know, you would call them, I guess, the benign, the benevolent oligarchs, and then we have the malevolent oligarchs, which maybe that would be like your, you know, your Bushes and, you know, your Rockefellers and Rothschilds and people of those ilk, your Soroses, and that, you know, this is I guess the benevolent oligarchs putting their thumb on the scale for JD Vance. That's what it looks like to me, and that's why Trump picked him, in my opinion.
Well, that could be it. I mean, I never really even knew anything about him until people started talking about it because they said he was on the short list or whatever. Because I was Ben Carson, and I hope that he picks Ben Carson as a Surgeon General, something like that, because I think he'd do a phenomenal job. And he hasn't stabbed him in the back. You haven't heard him say anything negative about Trump at all. He's a wonderful man, and he's a good husband. I think he's a good patriot. So hopefully he gets in the cabinet somewhere. He was my favorite. And I was picking him before I even voted for Trump. You know, I was for Ben Carson all the way. I don't know why, just something about him. I just really like him. But a lot of people think he's just too passive. You know, he's too quiet and stuff like that. So I don't really know that much about JD Vance, but hopefully I'm going to pray, and hopefully that he can give Trump what Trump needs from him to be successful. And if he is, and we see him grow under this administration that he's about to start into in 4 years, then maybe he'll be the one. Maybe he'll be president after that.
We'll see. Yeah, it's too early for me to weigh in on that stuff. Look, I voted for Gary Johnson in 2016, so you know, I can change my opinion. I changed my opinion on Trump. I was like, holy shit, we actually have a president that's like keeping and trying to keep his campaign promises. What?
Yeah.
And
I know. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know if I wanted him or not, but I voted for him. But he wasn't my first choice. Okay. But the thing is, just like I said before, he proved to me that he did what he said he was going to do. And he did it almost by himself. Okay. Because he didn't get any help. Okay. Because all the people we put in there was a handful that were helping him. But the rest of them were like, you know, they're ended up being lazy pieces of shit, basically, just like the Democrats. I couldn't tell, uniparty, whatever you want to call them, because they basically do the same shit. Nothing. You know, they spend money and they bitch and party and whatever. I don't know what they're doing, but it isn't helping us. You know, our borders wide open, and crime is through the wazoo. Everything is so expensive. They're sending all the jobs to other countries. We're not manufacturing. We're not drilling for oil. We're closing nuclear power plants. I mean, we're doing everything to hurt our country instead of improve our country. And it didn't take them long, did it? Everything that Trump did, they almost dismantled it in less than 2 years. You know, it's just shocking how fast we declined. And I hope that we can all work hard, work our asses off, and try to start getting our country back after Trump is back in office. But we got to wait from November all the way to January. But now I just wanted to show a few things. This is when Corey and his wife and them are over there with trying to get somebody to come when he first was shot. So I wanted to show this. So hold on, let me start over again. But this is like when someone got the camera and went over here in this whole corner there.
Is that Corey or is that the other guy?
See right here, this woman right here in the white hat. That's his wife. He's on the ground. He pushed his wife out of the way and jumped on top of their daughter, and then he got shot in the head. And there was a couple other people injured, like right over here. I think this guy got shot. And then there was another one. The bullet went through him, ricocheted off that, and then hit him again. Also, I want to say something. Also, I'm not a pro, but did you see the distance when you? Let me move this back again. Look at the distance from where they are to where Trump is. Okay, there's quite a ways that they had to turn the camera and go back. That tells me that whoever did the shooting wasn't a professional, you know, like a professional sniper. 2 bullets and the guy's gone. This person had to adjust their shooting, okay? Their first shots went over here, then the next shots went close to Trump. See what I mean?
I thought it was the other way around.
Or, yeah, either way, whichever way it was. But what I'm saying is they weren't a professional. I could tell because of the sporadic array of where the bullets went. Okay? A professional would not have shot over here at all. They would have shot only over there where Trump is at. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That guy that we just saw in the interview, he would not have made this mistake. He would have been able to shoot Trump. It would have been over with. And then we might never even notice. He would just drop to the ground and everybody would think he had a heart attack or something until they got over there and saw the blood. And by that time, the guy would have been able to get off the roof and who knows, it mingled right into the crowd or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a pro, but that's what they do in the movies, basically. But the fact that this happened the way it did told me that whoever the shooter was not a professional. And look at the chaos over here. I mean, it just breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart how many people were affected by this one person and these idiots that didn't protect. Now look how fast the cops came during the shooting, but nobody showed up over there when people were yelling, "There's a guy on the roof. He's got a gun."
Yeah.
2 minutes. And all these people wouldn't have had to go through any of this shit. So basically, this is them, and there he is right in here, is where Corey's at when he died. And a couple other people, 2 other people got shot. One guy got shot twice, but I think by the same bullet because it went through him and then it hit the ricochet off of this thing and then hit him again. So, but thank God they're alive, that we just lost Corey. But thank you. President Trump is going to go to his service, give him the respect that he deserves. So I just wanted you to see that because that was one of the things I looked at and I was like, yeah, I do believe it was everybody was saying, oh, some dumb 20-year-old dumb kid wouldn't know how to shoot that well, which is bullshit. That's why I wanted you guys to see that interview with that sniper. And now the next picture I want to show you is after the shooting. I think it's this one. Yeah. These 2 iconic pictures of Trump right here. Yeah. One through the legs of one of the Secret Service, and he's bent down when they're protecting him. And then once they picked him up, he's walking off and he says, "Fight, fight, fight." This right here, he doesn't have to pay for anything. Anyone wants this picture. And all they got to do is put it in every single commercial because this guy took a bullet for us, basically. Really and they didn't get him. To me, I don't know what happened, but God definitely intervened. I just can't see it any other way. And I do believe in God. And I'm not a Bible thumper. I don't go around, beating people over the head with the Bible. But I do believe this is a miracle. This is an actual miracle that we saw. Because if he didn't turn his head, even the slightest, that would have went right through his head. There's just no way it would have missed. I mean, look how close it skimmed the skin on the side of his face and took out a chunk of his ear. That's how close this bullet came to taking him out completely. To me, it's shocking, but to me, it was a miracle of God that he lived. So the next thing I want to share is what Trump said at his at the convention, and I really think it's pretty moving, and I think everybody needs to hear it. I think it was really good. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me turn it up.
That happened, but I got lucky. God was with me, I tell you. That's what you call a close call. That was an amazing, horrible thing, amazing thing, and in many ways it changes your attitude, your viewpoint on life. And I think, honestly, I think you appreciate God even more, really do, because something happened. Something happened. Not that it was pleasant. It wasn't like it was a completeness, but it was it's pretty terrible that can happen, and it happens too often. We have things going on, just crime in our country is so bad, and things are going on with our country. We're going to fix it. We're going to make it back. We're going to bring it back.
So this was on the 16th when he this was after he got shot, and it was his first public statement afterward, him talking about his experience with how he felt. That he definitely believes that God was the reason why he is still here. So to me, it's very humbling to see him humble like that, which is what I wish more people could see.
Absolutely. So. Well, Joe Biden said, unless God himself comes down and tells me not to run, and God answered when he, we don't know who specifically was behind taking Trump out, but we know that they prefer the other team over Trump.
Yeah.
So, and God's like, here you go. Get out of the race, Joe. You are not worthy of this power.
Yeah, apparently, because, yeah, we'll see. We should know in a couple of days for sure what their choice is going to happen, and whether what I showed earlier is actually going to happen or not. But I do believe that's what's going to happen, because they know they just can't win with him. He's never, no way he's going to make it. I mean, he's basically a mummy right now. You know what I mean? It's sad, but I do know people that's had dementia like that. So, but this next thing I want to share is their new ad, their very first ad with him and his vice president, or the person he's chosen. So I'd like for everybody to get to watch it. If you haven't seen it or not, I don't know, but I want to share it with you.
And we could have a growing economy and a peaceful world if we just bring back Donald Trump for round two. Trump's presidency was successful. Biden's has been a disaster. The American people get an opportunity to correct this in November, and I think we have to do everything we can to encourage them to make that correction. The country really needs it, and I think we really need to reelect Donald Trump.
I am proud that I have been an ally of Donald Trump's in Washington, D.C. I'm proud of the fact that I haven't tuck-tailed and run like so many politicians have.
Biden has been a failure, and when Donald Trump was a president, he was a success. The only way for us to fight back successfully is to elect Donald Trump in November.
Make America great again. Let's go and show them.
There you go. I thought it was a pretty good thing. And the thing is, as long as he is himself, just like Trump is, a lot of people don't like Trump because Trump's him. When he was on his show, The Apprentice, he goes, "You're fired," whatever, I liked it because he was just himself. At least that's how he came across. Either he's an excellent actor and he's full of shit, or that's just how he is. That's just the way he acts. He doesn't really care. He might be a little pompous and say, well, I don't give a shit. I'm me and this is what I do. And when the whole thing came out about some of the things that he said from the past and stuff, I'm like, women say the same shit. I'm a woman. I'm telling you right now, I've been in the bathrooms with girls at the club and they're saying, "Dan, did you see the ass on that guy?" Shit like that. We do it. We all do it. So anyone that says that and they clutching their pearls, oh, it's so terrible, they're full of shit. I mean, when the pastor's about to come over to your house and you're rushing around to pick up all your beer cans and straighten out and get rid of the magazines that might have something dirty on the front, then you're just hiding it from a man. Okay. God's already been able to see down in your house and sees what you got. So if you think you're hiding anything from God, you're not. Okay. That's just a fact. At least it is on me, because I believe that. He can see everything you do. He can see into your heart. He knows what your thoughts are. So the best thing for you to do is to pray to him and have him help you help yourself. I don't know what else to say about that.
Pretty much, yep. Just make sure you're asking for the right stuff. But yeah, wow, this has been great. So I've got to actually do my stupid side hustle now, which I'm not. I'd rather spend all night here.
Okay, well, I was going to say I'm done with everything that I was planning on showing, and now I'm going to, before we leave, do you want to say anything about what you're about to have anything planned going on this week?
Not particularly. I just haven't had the time to do it. I've been banned. For those of you that don't know, I've been banned from YouTube again. And so the WhateverCast, Whatever Wednesdays and things like that are going to be on Rumble on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So we're going to continue doing that on Rumble and Twitter X, and then I do my gaming streams sporadically and not really scheduled on Whatever Gaming. That's the what I've been chatting on in the chat here. It's the only way I can chat is my gaming channel.
Yeah.
So
I shared it earlier with everyone your two channels, your Rumble and your X profile. But thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. But that's basically what the shit show is. We talk about shit. The shit that's going on. Sometimes it's good shit. But
the shit has certainly hit the fan this week.
Yes, for sure. But before we leave, I want to close this out with this video that I found, and I think it's really, really, really good and very inspiring. So everybody, you guys have a wonderful evening, and enjoy this weekend that's coming up. And please tune in tomorrow night if you want to watch us with Ruben and Orange Hat, and I don't know, maybe another guest I might have for the Friday Night Shit Show. But you guys have a wonderful time, and have a great weekend. We'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
And I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever? Never got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
A new world order. These allegations are false. Weapons of mass destruction. The USA Patriot Act. The blueprint for large corporations.
We once were, we are no longer a Christian nation.
Donald Trump confirmed that he is considering a run in 2016.
Do it.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
He will never be President of the United States.
Donald Trump will never be elected President of the United States.
People are watching these results come in.
We are going to make this decision now. Donald Trump will be the 45th President of the United States.
Does it ever seem to you that President Trump has done more than any president in modern history?
In the 10 years I've been involved in politics, I've never seen an administration hit the ground running like this.
I could spend the rest of the hour laying out the accomplishments under the Trump presidency, despite everything thrown at him.
Market just had its 12th straight record close.
Taking action to save as many kids as they can.
We were energy independent under the Trump administration.
More Americans reported being employed than ever.
Those who have served our country in the military to get access to mental health care.
The Great American Outdoors Act is the largest single piece of legislation to support our national parks and public lands.
Created more than 7 million good-paying jobs.
Websites can be held liable in court for having sex trafficking content.
The Abraham Accords, which for any other president would have been multiple peace prizes.
America did not enter into a foreign war.
The employment rate in the U.S. fell to 3.5%.
The First Step Act eases federal sentencing for nonviolent offenders.
Increased funding for historically
specifically black colleges and universities.
Allows terminally ill patients easier access to experimental drugs.
Kept the inflation rate low.
Honored with the Bipartisan Justice Award.
Had a massive MS-13 gang problem.
3.9% is the unemployment rate.
Requiring airports to provide lactation rooms for breastfeeding mothers.
Middle class family income increased nearly $6,000.
A dramatic escalation in his crackdown on illegal immigration.
An advocate for educational choice.
Tariffs on Mexico and Canada.
An act preventing animal cruelty and torture.
Taking out Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, Soleimani, the Iranian general.
Save Our Seas Act commitment to environmental issues.
We're saying Merry Christmas again.
Community development in low-income urban and rural communities.
Help us to remember the importance of fighting off tyranny.
Pulling out of UNESCO, the World Health Organization, the Paris Climate Accords, reassessing NATO and the United Nations.
Stood up for Christianity and the Constitution more than any president in American modern history.
We are stopping the attacks on Judeo-Christian values.